I get this text message from a friend of ours who's openly gay guy in the Boston area, and he's also a journalist. He was like, do you realize what you just did? I was like, no. He was like, you're the only openly gay professional strongman.
Right.
He was like, this is something.
Right.
This isn't just a post.
Right.
He was like, do you mind if I write an article about it? I was like, oh, knock your socks off. Right. I don't fucking care.
Right.
Well, that article goes live, and next thing you know, we're getting blown up. Right. Like, you know, it was the first time of me experiencing like going viral.
Yeah.
Perez Hilton is tweeting about us.
Yeah.
Conan talked about us.
Crazy.
TMZ, Huffington Post, all want interviews at this point. And you talk about putting a relationship on blast.
Right.
Real quick.
Right. You were just trying to tell some people so you could be, say, hey.
I just want to be myself.
And you were doing it for you and Joey more than anything,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. And next thing you know.
Yeah, but you did it for, without even knowing it, you did it for hundreds of millions of other people that needed it. All right, guys, this was an absolutely incredible podcast. We had on Rob Kearney, world's strongest man competitor, as well as only openly gay strongman. We talked about lifting heavy shit, being nice to people, being loving and accepting, and doing all the right things in life. Guys, listen to Rob. He's someone that everyone should look up to. I had an awesome conversation with him, and I know you'll enjoy it. Have fun.
The mic drop. Subscribe to success.
All right, guys, here we are on another episode of The Mic Drop, powered by Premier Mortgage Lending. I'm actually super excited about today's guest, Rob Kearney. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep, Rob is a world's strongman competitor. I threw in the world's strongman competitor and only openly gay strongman competitor, right?
Yeah, I like to add a little flair to things.
Yes, I like it. Well, I mean, you know, as I was talking about before we started, you know, the premise behind the show originally is connecting community, so anybody that's listening, to success, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you've had success in a number of different ways, right?
Yeah, life has been crazy. You know, I just turned 30 like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it's wild to see like where my life was and how it's like it's really like the last like 7-8 years where it's just been a roller coaster.
Yeah. Talk about it. So where'd you grow up? Talk about early on and how you kind of fell into this whole thing. Yeah,
so I was actually born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Then moved to Connecticut. That's where I did like high school and stuff like that. And then ended up in Western Massachusetts because I went to Springfield College. So went there for athletic training and sports medicine. When I was in high school, I played, your traditional sports. So I played football. In the fall, I was an offensive lineman. In the winter, was actually a cheerleader. And then through those sports, just kind of fell into the weight room, right?
Cheering what, basketball?
Yeah, so basketball and competition season.
Okay.
So like I would do all the crazy stunts like throwing girls up and catching over my head by myself, all that stuff, doing that in high school.
Yeah.
Which was awesome.
Were you this big?
No,
this big,
I was
but you were big.
Yeah, I mean, I was about 220.
Yep.
So, and training kind of regularly. So, through those two sports, I, fell into the weight room because it was, well, I got to get stronger for football. I got to get stronger for cheer. And my senior year was working out in the high school weight room, and there was a substitute teacher who actually was a CrossFit coach as well. And he was like, you look like you kind of like what you're doing. Do you want to swing by the CrossFit gym and we could show you stuff a little bit more in depth? I was like, why not? So I ended up getting the gym was awesome. They gave me a free membership when I was a high school senior to come in. I would go to the gym at like 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning before school, get my lifts in. And they obviously realized pretty quickly that I liked just lifting heavy shit.
Right.
So they signed me up for my first strongman competition. I walked into the gym on a Tuesday morning. They're like, hey, there's actually a contest like this Saturday.
Get out of here.
Yeah. They were like, we kind of put your name in. Go do it. So I was like, at that point, I'm 17 years old.
Yeah.
And my experience with strongman was pretty much what the majority of the population is, right? You like see it like once a year at 3 o'clock in the morning on ESPN.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. Why not? Let's go. And went there. Completely got annihilated, took last place, was the youngest competitor by like 10 years, but fell in love with the sport. So I went to Springfield College, and they had a powerlifting team.
Yeah.
So I joined that team, and literally, I talked about this a lot. When I started in Strongman, I said I took last place in that first show. I took last place in 8 shows in a row. Like, I wasn't good.
That's okay.
And
you kept showing up, though.
Yeah, and it was so much fun, though, because it's like, and I can still say this to this day, is I've been doing this sport, 2022 is going to be my 13th year doing Strongman. I've never once done a competition that has the same events.
Right.
right? Like it always changes with what we do. And that's what drew me to it. That's what made it so exciting. So I just really like fell in love with the sport and what I was doing, meeting cool people, getting to travel all over New England, doing these contests. And 2013, it was November of 2013. I ended up winning the amateur national championship, going pro.
Incredible.
And
so how old were you then? So that was what? You were
21.
21?
Yeah, I just turned 21.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So turned pro when I was 21. And, you know, and that was actually, so strongman, there's some weight classes, right? So like, obviously the most popular are the big dudes on TV.
Right.
I actually turned pro as a middleweight, which is 231 pounds.
Okay.
So pretty much from 2011 to 2016, that's the weight class I competed in.
230 to what? What's the middleweight?
Middleweight is 231 and under.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were saying 231 up to another.
No, 231 is the cutoff.
Okay.
So anything over 231 is considered heavyweight.
Yep.
Right? So 2011 to 2016, I was competing in the 231 class and was pretty successful. Took second place at America's Strongest Man in 2014, 2015. And
awesome.
Also had up until this year, had the log press world record in that weight class. So at a body weight of 231, I pressed 410 overhead.
It's crazy.
And then 2016, I went to Worlds for that weight class.
Yep.
Had the absolute worst weight cut of my life because I was traveling over to Belfast, Northern Ireland while cutting weight.
Now, don't most strongman competitors, put on the weight?
Yeah, but so the thing was, I'm competing at 231, but walking around but I was walking around at like 250.
Oh fuck!
So I'd cut like 20 pounds every time I would compete.
Yeah.
And it was that contest where I was like, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was a terrible cut, terrible performance. I hated everything I was doing. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to jump up to heavyweight. Well, then I go to Lithuania to compete in the log press world championships.
Yeah.
I weighed like 245 pounds competing against guys that are like 350 and up.
Crazy.
And I won.
That was what you had, 471 or something like that? Is that what it was? Something crazy?
I think that was just, so 2016, it was 445 that I had pressed at that show for the win.
Yeah.
And I was like, son of a bitch. And that was the one my husband actually looked at me. He's like, I guess you could be a pretty good heavyweight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, relatively speaking, you're small compared to some of those guys.
I'm actually the smallest competitor.
Yeah.
So, local New England guy, only openly gay professional strongman, and I'm the smallest guy at this level of the competition.
Fucking awesome.
So 5'10", walk around about 285 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's big for most people.
Right.
But then you realize
for a normal human being.
Yeah. What we do isn't normal. You're not normal if you look at a truck and get excited to pull it.
No.
I'm small in this world because I compete against guys guys now retired, Hafthor Bjornsson, right? The mountain on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
When I competed against him multiple times, 6'9", 440 pounds.
Crazy.
With abs.
It's crazy.
It's stupid.
I was watching a video on YouTube last night of you with Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
That when you were deadlifting, and you standing next to him, you look tiny.
Yeah.
But you're a giant guy.
I always tell people, I feel like every time I go to these competitions, whenever I'm in the lineups,
some of those guys are.
I feel like the annoying younger brother that just wants to hang out with his older brother's cool friends. Because I'm like, they're all literally a foot taller than me and, 100 pounds, 150 pounds more. But, luckily I've been successful enough to hold my own.
Yeah, you can hang with them.
Yeah, I've done some, up until this past year, held the American log press record. That's the 471.
That was the 471, okay.
Yeah, so pressed 471 overhead on the log. And luckily have been, competing at the biggest and most prestigious competitions in the world.
Yeah, for 7-8 years now.
Yeah. I made my first World's Strongest Man appearance in 2017.
Yep.
And then since then, I've been to Worlds 3 times. I'll be making my second appearance at the Arnold Strongman Classic coming up here in March.
Yep.
And then also just recently competed at the Rogue Invitational that was down in Texas, which was absolutely amazing.
Talk about that.
So the Rogue Invitational, this was the first year that they did a strongman competition. So the Rogue Invitationals historically was just CrossFit.
Yeah.
Massive audiences in CrossFit, obviously, and Rogue Fitness has done a great job in bringing strongman into the fold. So they have this massive event down just outside of Austin, Texas, at a baseball stadium. They transformed it into a fitness arena. It was absolutely awesome, and it was the biggest payout strongman has ever seen in terms of prize money.
Yep.
And it was an invite only. So you know, a lot of what we do in strongman, there's a qualification process to get to these big contests. Since it was the first year Rogan was doing this, they just handpicked 10 guys in the world to come compete at this show. And the invite for me came at such a great time in my life because I got the invite, I believe it was like March of 2021.
Okay.
And I was about only 5 months post-op of my tricep surgery. Yep. So
is that what that scar is over there?
Yeah, nice little thing.
Gnarly fucking
scar, huh? Wow. And you know, to get the invite to a show like this, the first year that it's happening, most prestigious contest we've seen, biggest prize money, huge crowds. To get that invite at that time in my rehab and everything was a nice little fire under my ass.
Yeah, right.
To be like, all right,
moving.
You know, now we gotta go to work. We got something big to work towards.
Yeah. So getting ready for an event like that, what does training look like? I can't even imagine.
It's hell.
Yeah, every day? Every day?
Yeah, you know, so another thing about me is, you know, not only do I do this, I actually also work a full-time job.
I know.
Right? So it's 2 full-time jobs in one, you know, on top of having a husband and try to, you know, be there for him and, you know, be a good partner. So my training schedule, I train 4 days a week.
Okay.
But, you know, to add insult to injury, the gym I go to is about 45 minutes from where I live. So I'm fortunate enough where I'm an athletic trainer at a high school, so most of my work happens in the afternoon.
Right.
So I'll typically get up and I'll go train in the mornings before work. But my training sessions can take anywhere between 2 hours and 6 hours.
6 hours?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What does it work? What does that look like?
You know, so like on some of the bigger days when I'm doing like the strongman stuff, like a lot of it, to be honest, is set up and breakdown.
Yeah.
But even just something as simple like a squat or a deadlift workout.
Yeah. Because
of the weights that we're pushing, it takes that much longer to warm up to that weight, right? So if I'm going into a deadlift workout where I know I have to pull 900 pounds, well, the warm up for that alone is probably going to take about 45 minutes.
Right.
Just to get up to the point where I can then do my top set. And then I have to strip the weight, put everything away, and go on to the next thing.
What do you do for reps, like as you're climbing up like that, right? So if you're going for 900 pounds, you're obviously not doing reps of 6, 8 as you're climbing, right?
No, usually everything's like the 3 to 5 rep range.
Yep.
And then once we get into like the 700-pound range, it's pretty much just singles all the way up.
Yep.
Just getting that nervous system primed up, ready to go for that big pull. You know, but honestly, it all depends, right? Like, because like I mentioned, every single strongman competition is different.
Right.
We might have a max deadlift, or we could walk in and it could be a deadlift for max reps. So we have 800 pounds on the bar. They're like, all right, 60 seconds, pull until you can't anymore.
And that's not usually a bar though, right? It's like fucking weird objects
it could be,
shit, right?
It could literally be anything. It could be
Small
a standard
cars.
deadlift bar. It could be a car. It could be a truck. It could be an axle bar, which is a 2-inch diameter, which doesn't have any flex on it whatsoever. It could be, you know, at the Arnold, we have the elephant bar, which is a 9-foot long barbell, where a standard barbell is 7 feet. It literally changes every single time. You know, when we talk about cars, it could be a front handle deadlift. It could be a side handle deadlift.
Yep.
It really changes all the time.
And that's going to be totally different from the lifts that you're training in the gym. Right?
Luckily, the gym I go to has all the strongman stuff there.
Okay.
Right? So I know the gym that I train at, it's Lightning Fitness in South Windsor, Connecticut. If I have a car deadlift, we have a car deadlift frame set up in the gym.
No shit.
Right? So there's not a car on it, but we have those massive tires.
Yep.
And we can throw a 1,000-pound tire on there plus more plates and load it up as heavy as we need it to be.
I was going to ask you, and that's why you traveled to this particular gym. You're not going to a regular gym.
No. Right. I can't go to an LA Fitness.
No.
You know, that's a funny thing is like everybody always asks, they're like, oh, like why do you go so far? I'm like, well, for, you know, perspective wise, on a standard bar with standard 45-pound plates, the most you can fit on that bar is 765 pounds.
You just max it out.
Yeah.
There's no more room.
No,
right?
and that's not even getting collars on the plates either, right? So, you know, I can't go to a normal gym and do the training that I need to. You know, if I'm doing what I call like my bro days, where it's like bench and biceps, you know, I'll go to a gym like that and fuck around.
Ask, do you even do any of that shit? Because
absolutely.
You do?
Yeah, you know, to me, it's honestly more like an active recovery day.
Yeah. Because
3 of the days are super high intensity, super hard training, right? So day 1 is typically going to be my overhead press day.
Yep.
Day 2 is a squat and deadlift day. Yeah, both on the same day. Day 3 is my bro day to prime me and get me ready for my weekend training, which is pretty much just strongman stuff.
Right.
Those are the days that, like, there have literally been days I've been there for 8 hours doing strongman training.
Now, when you say strongman, you're talking about picking up the big balls and doing all the actual movements?
The actual events. So, you know, usually start off with some kind of press, so a log press, dumbbell, axle clean and press. It all depends on the show, right? Like, so
Well, you don't know leading up to it, right? Or do you know the events?
we typically get about an 8-week lead time.
Okay, so you have some idea going into it.
So with the Arnold Strongman Classic we have coming up, we have the 5 events we're doing. So first year ever at this competition, we're having a max squat.
Just 1 rep max.
1 rep max squat.
What do you squat?
So my best ever so far is 825.
That's a lot of weight.
I'm looking to push it for I'm hoping for like a 900-pound squat.
Jesus Christ.
That's what I'm really going for.
Yeah.
I'm really lucky to train with some insanely strong people at my gym. We have a power lifter. She actually competed last year, was on track to squat 800 pounds at her meet, and ended up tearing her ACL while unracking the bar.
800 pounds? I didn't know any woman in the world squatted 800 pounds.
Yeah, she squatted 722.
Holy shit.
And then I think she jumped to like 765 or something like that, and she was unracking the bar, and you just saw her knee just kind of collapse tore the ACL. She actually just broke the all-time bench press world record for women. She benched over 600 pounds.
It's crazy. What do you bench press?
Before my tricep injury?
Yeah.
It was right around 600.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think to get that some type of relevancy there. Wow, she benched 600 pounds?
Yeah, 606 I think she benched.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I just hired a guy that's coming in. He was formerly a police officer, and he's going to be a loan officer here doing loans, and he does powerlifting.
Yeah.
And he was telling me he benches something like 580, squats
insane.
like in the 7s.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is insanity. You know what I mean?
It's awesome, though.
Yeah,
it's
is
so
awesome,
much fun.
You know?
Yeah, so we have a max squat, and then we have a dumbbell clean and press for reps. It's 275 pounds. Got to pick it up to the shoulder with 2 hands and then press it overhead with 1.
I think I saw a clip of you training that.
Yeah. Luckily, it's a pretty good event for me.
Yep.
So it's maximum reps, but it's in 90 seconds. And 90 seconds is a long time to be doing something.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Like everybody's like, I always joke around, like I train, 8 to 12 weeks for a contest to do 5 minutes of work.
Right.
But that 5 minutes of work, I tell people, the analogy I use is like get on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Throw it at 15 and go for 60 seconds.
Right.
Let's see what you can do.
Right.
Right. And so that's day 1 of the contest. Day 2, we're starting off with a max log, with I'm a little bit salty about because that's what I got injured on a little over a year ago. We have a frame carry, which is 880 pounds. It's literally a box with handles on it.
Okay.
35 feet, but to spice it up a little bit, we have to walk up a ramp.
What do you mean? So you're carrying it?
So carrying it in our hands, picking it up off the floor, and then walking up a ramp 35 feet to the top with 880 pounds in hand.
That's insane.
And then the final event is a 410-pound stone. It's a natural stone, so it's not completely round.
Yep.
And we have to pick it from the ground up to our shoulder as many times as possible in 2.5 minutes.
So you're picking it up, dropping it, picking up, dropping it?
Literally picking things up and putting it down.
Wow. And so do you have a stone like that in your gym where you can do that over and over and over again?
Yep.
So do you work cardio too? Because you must get gassed if you're not.
I use cardio as a loose term.
Well, some type, right? Because you're breathing.
Yeah, it's conditioning,
yeah,
right?
Right.
And a lot of what I like to do is I like to work it into my workout.
Okay.
I'm a strength athlete through and through, so I don't like to run unless I'm carrying shit on my back.
Right. When you're that size, it's going to pound the shit out of your knees.
It hurts. I'm in more pain after I run than after I lift heavy.
I bet.
Right. So, but for me, I'll look at my conditioning and be like, okay, let's do this. Let's do, we'll work up to my max set, my top set on squats per se.
Yep.
And then let's do 3 sets, 45 seconds max reps at 60% of whatever weight I just did with only 2 minutes rest in between each set.
Just going.
Right. So like heart rate's cranked. You're just working, building up that volume and work capacity. And essentially just like eating shit for 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's surprising when I watch the strongman competitions, like how athletic you guys are for your size. You know what I mean? How you can move and not be completely gassed out.
That's what I love about the sport. You know, like I did powerlifting for a while, and nothing against powerlifting, like strong motherfuckers in that sport, right? Squat, bench, deadlift. Like Ray Williams, he just squatted over 1,000 pounds raw. Like insane. It's stupid. But like for me personally, I just got bored with it, right? Like I played football, I was a cheerleader. I liked being athletic.
Yeah.
And in strongman, like we have these medleys where you're like carrying anvils and sandbags and tires, and you're running between the things and loading them, so there's just an element of athleticism that is there that it just makes it so much fun.
And it's just something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's nothing else like it. You know?
No.
Now, you had mentioned you started at a CrossFit gym.
Yep.
Did you do CrossFit at all, or did you just start lifting there and stay lifting?
No. I mean, I did CrossFit. I mean, and I'm still kind of in the CrossFit community. My husband trains CrossFit. I'm a level 1 coach for CrossFit. I love that sport, and I have so much respect, you know, and I to the day I die will say the winners of the CrossFit Games are the most impressive athletes on the face of this earth. You know, I mean, the fact that, you know, talk about like Matt Frazier, I've been fortunate enough to become friends with. You know, the fact that he can, you know, in his prime of CrossFit, could deadlift over 500 pounds, run like a 5.5 minute mile or a 5K, or shit at one of the CrossFit Games, they had to do a marathon.
Yeah, fucking swim and row.
Yeah.
Didn't they row for like some absurd amount of time?
They literally did a marathon.
Yeah.
It
was a marathon, 26
it was
miles.
Literally 26 miles on an erg.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's just, and it literally blows my mind with what they do. And I have so much respect for what CrossFitters do and stuff like that, which is why I love the sport. Because I think there's also this, and at the Rogan Invitational, that's why it was so cool, because there's such a mutual love for what everybody does. Like, for me, it blows my mind to watch people do that. And then CrossFitters love us seeing picking up heavy shit.
Yeah.
You know, so
well,
like,
you gotta have
there's
respect
this mutual
for it.
respect. Exactly.
You know what I mean, you have to.
So it's so cool because I think both of what we do is so niche, but there's so much connectivity between the communities.
Yeah. No, it's good they both have that tight community.
Yeah.
It's funny, this guy here, Ed, and a couple of the other guys that work for us here, I met them all at CrossFit.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, it was a CrossFit gym right down the road. That's how we
awesome.
met. Geez, Ed, what was it, 5, 6, no, more than that, 7, 8 years ago. And that was how I met all these guys. And it is a great community.
Awesome.
But then I got lazy, fat, and haven't been to CrossFit in a while. And now I just lift weights. I got sick of running around like a maniac.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. It's terrible. Every single day being dead on the floor, like can't breathe, thinking that I might actually die.
Questioning why you're doing this.
Why am I doing this? But the reason I was doing it is because I weighed 35, 40 pounds less than I did.
Yeah, that makes it easier. They did a workout at the gym as a fundraiser. They did the Clovis workout.
Yeah, which one's that?
10 miles of running and 150 burpee pull-ups.
No, it's stupid.
And you can break it up however you want.
No, that's stupid.
And I went there, I'm like, son of a bitch. And like what was crazy was they were doing it for one of the members of the gym who has MS.
Oh, okay.
And she did the full workout.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about making me feel like shit just
Absolutely.
watching. I'm like, well, son of a bitch, I got to get off my ass.
Yeah.
Well,
it's amazing what the human body can do, even if you're in a situation like that woman, because it's all up here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's all up here. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would be the biggest pussy sometimes in the gym, like mentally.
Yep.
It would be like burpee pull-ups, right? Like you just said that.
You say burpee.
Dude, I would get to like the third one and be like, fucking 25. There's no way I can do it. But I would, but it would be like, this is awful.
When I did my CrossFit certification, one of the workouts we had to do was thrusters and burpees.
Oh, God.
95 pounds on the bar.
I know.
I'm a professional strongman. 95 pounds is nothing to me.
Right.
I was literally doing the thrusters, holding the bar. First off, I can't get in a front rack position because I don't have the mobility. So I'm holding the bar on my finger,
like this?
like one finger on the bar, doing thrusters like that. Because I can't hold it comfortably.
Yeah.
And the burpees, I felt like a beached fucking whale rolling
Doing
around.
the burpees jumping over the bar?
Yeah, exactly. Why not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it was so terrible.
Yeah.
And like everybody else in the class was like, that was a great workout. I'm like, fuck all of you. This sucks.
I weigh 285 pounds.
I'll go deadlift, you know, because the funny thing is like one of the coaches knew who I was and we're talking about the deadlift.
Yeah.
And he was like, Rob, what's your max deadlift? I was like, like 970.
970.
And he was like, we're not going to teach Rob how to deadlift. We're not going to learn how to deadlift like Rob.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So
well, the thing is in the CrossFit community or when you're in one of those gyms, right? What happens is, as and it's probably the same in strongman, you start comparing yourself to the guy that is lifting 900 pounds.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I remember this one guy, Matt, that we used to squat with. He'd squat, I mean, what was Matt? Matt was over 500 pounds, right? And so, like, I'd feel like 600 pounds? I'd feel like a big pussy because I was only at 350.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's still pretty good.
It's not a bad squat. And and the hardest part about like getting into this
for a
stuff,
41-year-old guy, you know what I mean? That like doesn't train that hard.
the hardest part about all of this, what we do, is the ego.
Right.
Like
That's
the
it.
hardest part. Like,
You know?
you're like, son of a bitch, if that dude's doing it, why can't I?
Yeah. Well, it's funny, right? Because that's how you push yourself. But at the same time, that's how you hurt yourself.
Yep.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like I blew out my back. I'd have shoulder surgery just from doing shit that I probably shouldn't have done.
Could have dialed it back and been okay.
Because for me, I'm not a strongman competitor.
Yeah.
I run a mortgage company. There's no need for me to be deadlifting over 400 pounds.
No,
you know what I mean?
But it's pretty cool if you can.
I get there like in a safer way.
Yeah.
Not trying to get there in 8 minutes.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that was That's the problem
tough.
sometimes when in the CrossFit gym is you only have a certain amount of time to get there.
Got a 1 hour class.
Right, 1 hour.
Got to fit it all
You got to
in.
get in this work, the heavy lift in 8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll do that at home when I have a Saturday morning and I can just, you know what I mean, work my way up.
And that's part of the reason why my workouts sometimes take 8 hours.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
I'm not working up to an 800-pound deadlift in 8 minutes.
No.
That shit's not happening.
Man, 800 pounds. I can't even imagine that. You know what I mean? Does it help you being a little bit shorter than the big guys on the deadlift?
A little bit,
Or does it not make a difference?
I mean, to a point, like mass moves mass, right? Like,
True.
But I mean, I've been fortunate to like, the thing, and part of the reason why I think I got so successful in this sport is because as I was coming up and I talked about how I wasn't good when I started, I became a student of the sport. Right? Like, so I was looking at, okay, what's Brian Shaw doing?
Yep.
But like, what did Mariusz Pudzianowski do?
Yeah.
Like, what did Derek Poundstone do? What did all these other athletes do? So let me take a little bit from each of their techniques and put it together in one, right? And I was able to kind of use that throughout my career because I also didn't have the luxury of just being good right away.
Right.
So I had to work my ass off to get to where I'm at today, right? You know, like I actually started competing under 200 pounds.
Under 200 pounds.
Yeah, I would cut from like 215 down to like 199 or 200.4 was the cutoff.
Wow.
And compete there. And, you know, I literally worked my way through the amateur ranks to get to this level. We see guys now that they like do one show, go to nationals and end up winning because they're freaks.
Right.
And then they're already at this level. You know, I didn't have that luxury. So I literally had to take time to learn how to really do these movements proficiently and work them for my body type and my size.
Not for nothing. I think that's a better journey than just being fucking gigantic and being able to move something without putting in the grind and the struggle. I like that. You know what I mean?
And the cool thing for me is like, because I'm still obviously I'm so involved in the strongman community, and there's a level of relatability that I have with the amateur athletes that some of the other pros don't.
Right. Because they never went through that process.
No, they didn't have to go to nationals 6 times.
Right.
They didn't have to get their ass kicked time and time again at local shows. You know, and really like fight and claw their way to get to this level. You know, nothing was ever given to me on a silver platter in this sport. You know, I had to work my way through it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that are really good at anything, whether it's athletics or business or people that invest, all this stuff, right? It takes a lot of losing, right? Because you have to learn from it. I'm actually going to pull this up. Oh no, I shut my phone off. There's actually this meme that I texted my wife this morning at like 6:30 because I was up early. I had to get on some Zoom call. And I found I was scrolling through Instagram or something. And it showed the picture of, it was like the bottom of a hill and then the top of the hill. And it showed a guy sitting down the bottom like in a valley and someone at the top. And it's like, you need to be here to get here and stay here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
And it's the fucking truth. It's like when you just show up and win, you know what I mean? Plus, there's not a whole lot of like satisfaction and enjoyment in that. You can't look back on the journey. Right? You can look back on this killer journey you've had over the last 12, 13 years and really be proud of what you've done.
And that's another thing is like the way I came up through the sport, it teaches you how to deal with adversity.
Yeah.
And it teaches you just how to deal with shit.
Yeah.
Right? And like if you have that automatic success, you don't understand how to deal with that.
Totally. Let's talk about adversity, right?
Yeah.
You're the only openly gay strongman competitor, right? When did you come out to really, let's take it all the way back, the world.
Yep.
And then this strongman community. How did that all unfold for you?
Did it all at the same time.
Did you really?
Yeah. So I'm a late bloomer in gay years.
Sure.
So I didn't come out till I was 22.
Okay.
So up until that point, lived a very heteronormative life.
Yep.
Was straight when I became a pro in the sport of strongman.
Right.
So I was already pretty within the sport when I came to the realization of who I was.
Okay.
So it was the summer of 2014.
Okay.
I was actually dating a girl at the time, and I don't know what it was. I don't know why, but I woke up one morning. I was like, I am not fucking happy.
But you must have known that all along, right? Or no?
Yes, but I ignored it.
Okay.
Right? Like I would wake up every single day and have to think about how I speak, how I walk, how I interact with people.
It's fucking terrible.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, I bet.
It's exhausting to have to put this facade on every single day.
Right.
And like I said, I don't know what it was. I think it was May of that year where I was just like, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
So I ended that relationship.
Yep.
And it was fully transparent with the girl about, this is why, like, I need to figure my shit out.
Right.
And
what did she say?
At first I shocked, because like we were together for like a year and a half or so.
Right.
So it was like a decently long time.
Right.
She was shocked, but like understood.
Mm-hmm.
And, to be honest, it was not too long after that I met Joey, my husband.
Really?
Yeah. So we had met in August of that year, on a dating app.
Yep.
And because, like, to be honest, I was still actually in the closet at this time.
To everyone.
Yeah.
Probably even kind of like yourself, right?
Yeah. Because I was still trying to figure out, like, okay, like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, because I had this entire mindset of what my life was going to look like.
Right.
Right? Like, you think you have it all.
Well, it's
21 years old. You think you have it all figured out.
The world tells you that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that sucks. But
And so I'm like trying to figure all this out. So Joey and I link up on this app, and like we're talking, going back and forth. And I was like, okay, like this is pretty dope.
Right.
Like
this feels right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It felt easy.
Yeah.
Right. Like I didn't have to try.
Right.
I could actually just be myself. And so we go on our first date. And things went great, obviously.
Right.
And, he knew that I still wasn't out. He knew like my entire situation of where I was. And so it was about 6 weeks. It was about 2 months after we had met, and like 6 weeks or so, we're like dating. And I'm like, you know what? Like, obviously this isn't just, like a hookup.
There's something going on here.
Yeah, we actually like each other. Like things are, we're seeing each other every day. We're dating at this point.
Right.
And my husband came out when he was 17 in high school. Okay. So we're 22.
Right.
And I was like, this isn't fair to him.
Right.
For him to be in this position of having to.
It's almost like putting him back in the closet.
Exactly. And I'm not about to do that, right?
No.
Like, that's not fair. Like, he had already done this. And I was like, it's not fair for him to be in this relationship and not be able to show people and tell people.
Right.
So it was like mid-October of 2014 where I decided to come out to my family and friends, in person and stuff like that. But then I also realized, I was like, well, shit, like, I just took second place at America's Strongest Man last week.
Right.
I have friends all over the world, and while I can't tell all them, so I remember it was a Monday afternoon. I was coming home from work, and I'm in my car, and I put this post together.
Yeah.
Because it just like, I just felt like I had to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I get home, and I met up with
Joey. Courageous
Joey.
of you, though. I mean, do you realize how significant that
I didn't
is?
at the time.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Right. Like for me, I was comfortable enough in my relationship and comfortable enough to realize like, this is who I am.
Right.
And at that point, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah. Fuck it is right.
If somebody doesn't like this about me, I don't need you.
So you already told your family though, right?
Family was cool with it.
Family was good?
Family was great.
What was life like at home? You have mom and dad, just one?
Have both. They're separated.
Okay.
So I wasn't too nervous about telling my mom because, she had a lesbian sister.
Okay.
So I was really
close
with
family
her.
was
cool. So the funny thing is I sit down, I was like, Mom, I have something to talk to you about.
Yeah.
And first thing she says, oh God, who's pregnant?
Right.
I was like, well, actually quite the opposite. I like dudes.
Right.
So come out to her as being gay, and she was super supportive, super happy.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
My dad, I was a little bit more nervous to talk to my dad because here we are, he Irish Catholic from Brooklyn, New York.
Yep.
Right. And, kind of a hard ass.
Yep.
We always had a great relationship, but still like, you don't fucking know.
Right.
So I remember sitting in his truck with him, and we're like going out to lunch, and I'm like, all right, like just got to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
So I start like tearing up, start crying, and I tell him, like I'm gay, like all this stuff. Long pause. He goes, "Can I still say gay jokes?" I was like, that's what you're fucking concerned about?
Yeah, I think he was trying to tell you that it's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, luckily family was great.
Yeah.
Well,
good.
Didn't
That's
hear
the way it should
anything, which was awesome. So having that support obviously made it easier for me to come out publicly. And yeah, it was that Monday afternoon. I put this post together, and typical millennial Facebook, Instagram man crush Monday post,
right.
literally come out to the world. Saying, I'm in this relationship, I'm gay, this is who I am. And, like you mentioned a little bit, like at that time, I really didn't realize what I was doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I knew I was coming out. Like that's for me. Right. That's for my boyfriend at the time. Like that's what I cared about.
Right.
And probably a couple hours after the next day, I get this text message from a friend of ours who's openly gay guy in the Boston area. And he's also a journalist. He was like, do you realize what you just did? I was like, no. He was like, you're the only openly gay professional strongman.
Right.
He was like, this is something.
Right.
This isn't just a post.
Right.
He was like, do you mind if I write an article about it? I was like, oh, knock your socks off. Right. I don't fucking care.
Right.
Well, that article goes live, and next thing you know, we're getting blown up. Right? Like, it was the first time of me experiencing like going viral.
Yeah.
Perez Hilton is tweeting about us.
Yeah.
Conan talked about us.
Crazy.
TMZ, Huffington Post, all want interviews at this point. And you talk about putting a relationship on blast.
Right.
Real quick.
Right. You were just trying to tell some people so you could be, say, hey.
I just want to be myself.
And you were doing it for you and Joey more than anything,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. And next thing you know.
Yeah, but you did it without even knowing it, you did it for hundreds of millions of other people that needed it.
Never in a million years, right? Like that wasn't my goal. That wasn't my, reason for doing any of this.
Right.
But I learned really quickly that I'm now being shown in this light, and I now have a platform that I need to stand on.
Right.
And it has been the most rewarding journey of my life. Obviously Strongman is the reason I'm here, but take the sport out of the equation, and being able to do this stuff, live authentically as myself, be unapologetically openly gay on social media about my relationship with my husband. It is the coolest thing that I'm able to do that. And
everyone should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Everyone should be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of fucked that people can't.
It sucks.
But hopefully people like you know what I mean? And by you going out there and doing things differently than everybody else has done.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sure there's many, many, many other strongmen out there that are gay. Because everybody in every profession, occupation is gay.
Yeah.
Because it's just like,
and that's been the biggest
part
thing
of your life. Big fucking deal.
That's been the biggest thing is, we 2014 I competed at the Amateur World Championships. Or 2015. So I had just come out. And I ended up breaking a world record at that contest. So we're putting up this video, and my husband was like, we need to change something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we need to change the way people think of what being gay means. So we came up with the hashtag breaking the stereotype.
Okay.
Right? Because overwhelmingly, when people think of a gay man, they automatically think of this feminine, unathletic, kind of valley girl type character, right? That's what gay men are portrayed as in media, on TV, in movies. Nobody ever looks at me and makes the assumption that I'm gay.
No.
Right? Like when I had my rainbow mohawk, it was a lot easier for people to figure out.
Right.
But the amount of times that people will see me and talk to me, and they'll see the ring on my finger, they're like, oh, you're married. Like, what's your wife's name? Right. It's the first thing they say.
Right.
And I was like, oh, actually, like, I'm gay. My husband's name is Joey. And
how do you feel about that when somebody says that?
It's a double-edged sword.
Right.
Because sometimes it's just pure ignorance and people don't know, right? Like, there is overwhelmingly the majority of people just have this assumption that if you're married, you're straight. But when it comes to like matters of like sexuality and stuff like that, it's like nobody ever taught you to be straight.
No.
It just happens.
Just grew up.
Right.
That's it.
And that's exactly how it is. Right. And that's one of the things that, one of the reasons why I am, the world's strongest gay on social media, and I don't hide that, is because representation in media never showed anybody like me when I was growing up.
Right.
So I didn't know I was possible.
Right. There's nothing like it.
Nothing like you.
You know what I mean?
There is only one me.
There is only one you. There is only one you. But it's true. And I think that the harder thing now, or maybe it's easier, I don't know, is with the social media and being able to see what else is possible. Like how old you said you're 30, right?
30, yeah.
Right. So I'm almost 15 years older than you. When I was growing up, there was no social media. There was
even
nothing.
when I was growing up.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like
when you were a kid.
When I was in high school, like Facebook was just starting up, right? Like, cause that was like 2006, 2007.
Yeah, right.
Like Facebook was just getting going.
Yeah. So it's good to see that you can be a role model.
Exactly.
For all these people.
Yeah.
What I was saying with the gender thing, right? What made me think before, it's like, even in like, so when Matthew was probably like 3-4 years old, right? Like what he gravitated towards was, everything pink and purple and sparkling, whatever. Sure, you like it? We'll get it, right?
Yeah.
But then as he got a little bit older, maybe 6, 7, he no longer wanted to like look in the girls section, right? So we had to have this whole conversation of, listen, it's not even girls section or boys section, just fucking clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just clothes. Like even that, honest to God, you know what I mean? Like that should be a thing where the clothes are just clothes.
Clothes.
You know what I mean? Who fucking cares?
Exactly.
It's like if I wear fucking pink shirts. Does that mean it's a woman's shirt or a no? Who cares?
And
you
I
just
think
need to break all that down because people, the way you described yourself when you were talking before about feeling like you had to pretend and act and think about how you talk, and everybody should just be able to be themselves. We got to get to that place.
In the moment I came out and was able to let that guard down, it improved my strongman career as well.
I bet.
Right? Like, because now I wasn't using all of this energy into that aspect of my life.
Right.
And I was just like, no, like, fuck it. This is me.
Right.
Like, this is who I am. Like, I don't have to hide it from anybody now.
No.
Now, all that energy can go into competing.
Right.
And that's honestly like when my career kind of took off. Right. Like I said, after coming out, like I was successful, like I won the national championship as an amateur. That's awesome.
Which is pretty great.
First year at America's Strongest Man, takes second place by half a point.
Yeah.
Next year, second place at America's Strongest Man again. Oh, now I have a world record in the log press.
Yeah.
My career path in strongman took such a drastic turn into something I never thought it would be, right? And now not only am I one of the strongest men in the world, I also have this platform of LGBTQ rights as well.
Right. And a great husband.
An awesome husband. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got it all.
Yeah.
It was probably like letting a lot of pressure out too, right? Holding all that in. Right? And being
absolutely.
Like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's cliche because I'm a strongman, but it literally was like a weight off my shoulders. Like I didn't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
And like I said, just being able to take that energy that I was so focused on in pretending to be somebody I wasn't every single day, into just being authentically me.
Right.
I was sleeping better.
You probably laid in bed every night thinking about this.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Being stressed.
Yeah.
And, fortunately, it's like you hear about so many, teens and preteens that have that exact feeling going on that leads to drugs and suicide and everything else. Yeah. And so we need more people like you to come out and say, hey, it's okay. Just be you. Just be the authentic you.
When you talk about like the teens and stuff like that, obviously it strikes with me because I work in a high school.
Yeah.
And, also like I talked about this on Rogan, it's crazy that the amount of LGBTQ plus teens in this country and the world that don't either have somebody they can look up to or talk to is insane. And there was a study done by the Trevor Project that showed one accepting adult in the life of an LGBTQ plus teen reduces their chance of contemplating suicide by 40%.
Crazy.
40%. That's crazy. A huge number. Just by somebody saying, I see you.
Right. I see you. It's okay. Be you.
Right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think like people don't understand the impact that they might have on somebody just by acknowledging who they are.
Right. What can we do to change that? What can we do to help?
I think the biggest thing, it just comes down to like education. Yeah. And it's so bad to say that, like, I hate the term normalizing because it makes me seem like I'm not normal for being who I am.
Yeah.
But I feel like it is the best term to show that being LGBTQ and being heterosexual, there really is no difference.
There is no fucking difference.
Right? Like, and that's
big deal. You like men, I like women.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing that I get is like, for some reason, LGBTQ plus individuals have automatically just been perverted in the eyes of heterosexual people.
Right.
Right? Because automatically when anything LGBTQ gets brought up, the conversation gets brought right to sex.
Right. Doesn't need to.
It doesn't, right? Doesn't like it's about love. It's not about sex. Right. Like, when
That's just a piece of it.
Exactly. Like when I see a straight couple walking down the street, I'm not thinking about them in the bedroom.
No.
I'm like, oh, like they're a cute couple holding hands.
Right.
It's the same thing with me and Joey walking down the street when we're holding hands,
Yeah,
but for some reason it has been perverted into automatically thinking about sex. It's like, I have a children's book coming out in the beginning of the year.
Awesome.
And when we went public with the cover and everything, the amount of hate and attacks that I got.
I was going to ask you that. Do you get a lot of bullshit from people?
Oh, every single day. Every day.
Does it bother you?
No.
No?
Not
Good.
at all.
Good.
But I got hate mail and messages about the children's book because they're like, why bring sex to kids? I'm like, I'm not. Like, the story is literally about once you accept yourself for who you are, you can achieve amazing things.
Right.
That's what this story is about. Right. And being gay just happens to be a part of it.
Right. So,
like, being
you're really going to fuck up America saying that.
It's a tough thing to comprehend, I know. But, the whole premise of the story, it literally is like, I'm a strongman competitor. I'm trying to find my way. And it's all about the clothes that I'm wearing, right? Okay. So, like, I'm wearing all these dark, drab clothes when I go compete because that's what all the other competitors wear.
Right.
But when I'm training and I'm actually able to be myself, I like to wear bright colored clothes.
Yeah.
Well, then I meet Joey,
yep.
and he gives me the strength to wear the bright colored clothes when I compete, and then I win.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was hiding who I truly was when I was competing. But now through the strength of love and support of my partner, I'm able to win these events.
It's amazing.
Right? Like, that's what the story is about. And, automatically, just based off of the cover of...
What was the cover?
I'll show you a picture. Yeah. It literally is, it's a cartoon version of me with a rainbow mohawk. That's it.
And that's it.
And automatically people just make they're just jumping to these conclusions that this book is, somehow perverted. And the name of the book is just titled Strong.
That is super offensive.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm here to piss you off.
Show the camera. It's ridiculous how not offensive that is.
Right.
It makes me think of like a loving, welcoming,
Yeah.
all good things.
It's, so it's just funny to me how, for some reason, the LGBTQ community just gets perverted by, heterosexual people, and that's the attack and the mode that they go off of. And that's why, like I said, like I hate using the word normalizing.
People? You know what I mean? Like, do you think maybe it's just all insecurity for some weird fucking reason, so they find somebody else that they can pick on?
I think it's insecurity. I think it's also just rooted in shitty culture, right? Like it's
shitty parenting.
Yeah, and I think it's just people were brought up to think a certain way, and I think a lot of that is changing. And I
hope so.
What I'm about to say, like, this isn't an attack on religion whatsoever, but I think a lot of the hate is rooted in that. Whether it is Christianity, Catholicism, Islamic, Buddhism, like any religion, there is a majority of those people that follow those religions that have an issue with the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, because they're fucking thousands of years old.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And if I grew up, Irish Catholic, like you're saying, right? And the narrative in the Bible is not good.
No, it's not. I mean?
It's not good.
And I think people are brought up in that, but I think that's one of the reasons why we're seeing such a shift. And I think there is like an overwhelmingly positive acceptance and movement, with Generation Z and these younger kids coming up, which is why kids are more comfortable coming out at a younger age. Because I think overwhelmingly, there is a trend that we're seeing that less and less people are following religion.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think
you almost like grow out of it because you see what the world is really all about.
And I think it's just becoming like antiquated, maybe I don't know if that's the right word, but like, an example of this is like a friend of ours, just had a baby, and they were getting at, like, somebody asked them like, oh, are you going to baptize? They're like, no.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, well, why not? Like, you have to, like, that's what everybody does. They're like, yeah, but why? It's like, we don't go to church.
Right.
We don't follow the Bible.
Right.
Like, I'm not donating to church. Nope. Like, why am I going to baptize my kid?
Right.
There's no point.
Then it's just like a false act that you're doing just because your parents thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So it's a different world, different time.
I think we are falling out of that. Yep. And, like I said, I feel like there's a trend of less people following religion as, people of my generation are getting older.
Yep.
And that's why I think we are seeing more openness and acceptance to the LGBTQ community. But there are a lot of loud people of the older generation that are making it still hard.
No, they'll all fucking die. And then
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy though. But talking about the religion piece, I think that people need to, it needs to be less like fixed religion like that? And how about more like spirituality? Like
I'm
have
all
some
about
spirit,
that.
because I am by no means a practicing Catholic anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't been for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
I'm more of like, let's treat people kind. Let's be nice to one another.
Yeah.
You know, let's do the right thing.
What goes
be
around
honest.
comes around. You know
what I
like,
mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think
live
there's-
life the right way. Don't be a dickhead.
Yeah, there's a huge disconnect. You know, I think there's a huge separation between like religion and spirituality. I think people can be spiritual, you know, like believe in a higher power, whatever you want, yada, yada. But, you know, something I talked about on Rogan too, where it's like I always get attacked for like shoving the gay agenda down people's throats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
Right.
Like,
How is that? What is the gay agenda?
well, that's the thing. I never got my gay packet when I came out, so I never
What
fully
is the
got
agenda?
it.
What's the breakdown?
But the funny thing is, it's like I'm not pushing anything, right? Like I'm pushing love and positivity on my social media accounts, right? Like meanwhile, you have religions that are literally built around that they are supposed to go and recruit for their religion.
Right.
Like
like when people are knocking on your door.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
I've never knocked on a door.
I've never had a group of gay people knock on my door and ask me to come be gay with them. It's never happened.
Exactly. Right. So like, I think I find it funny, to be honest, when people are like, oh, you're pushing the gay agenda. I'm like, what is that agenda?
Yeah. What are you talking about?
I still don't know what it is.
Right.
Right. Like, and you know, then that's usually when they get offended that I call them out on it. And then they like start linking like homosexuality to like bestiality and pedophilia. They go like, I'm like, okay, rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Like, it's
dogs
just
and
insane.
goats and children are totally different from two consenting adults that love each other.
Wild.
Yeah, totally different.
You know, so
way different.
It's crazy to me, but like for some reason, like there is just this bigotry that I think is taught and ingrained by a few people that they, you know, unfortunately they're sometimes the loudest voices.
Yeah, and those few people can cause some serious shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same with, I think it's similar to like racism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was talking with my wife about it one night, and it's like, it's, you know, the people that are against, you know, homosexuality and racism, like, why does anybody give a fuck?
Well, and they're usually cut from the same cloth too.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I don't see why people care what other people do.
No,
that I have never been able to get my head around.
Like my relationship with my husband has absolutely no bearing on what you are doing.
No,
right, and that's the thing is like, and I am somebody that is fully supportive of like religious freedom, right? Like
all freedom,
absolutely.
Yeah,
but like specifically with religious freedom, like that is the ability for you to practice whatever religion you want to believe in, right? Religious freedom is you following a religion. It doesn't have any bearing on because you don't like what I'm doing, I'm not allowed to do it. Right. And I think that's where like people get mixed up. They feel like, oh, because I'm Catholic, you shouldn't be able to get married. Like the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about?
That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what I do. It affects you.
Like
you
know? I don't believe in God.
I just don't understand either why they want to even take the energy to have a problem with what you do or somebody else does.
And that's something I've always said too, is like it's easier to love than hate.
Absolutely.
You know, like
and if you don't like something, just don't do it.
No, just don't be around it.
Yeah, but just don't do it or be around it, whatever it is. I mean, there's nothing I really think of that like I have a problem with, but like, you know, if I did, I just wouldn't do that.
Well, that's the thing
be with
too.
People that did.
And like when I say that to people, I'm like, they sometimes they look confused. I'm like, you ever think of how exhausted you are after having an argument?
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks the energy out of you, right?
But it's stressful. It's hard. It causes anxiety.
Are you ever tired after being happy?
No,
you're fucking jacked up.
Yeah,
like things are good.
You feel energized and awesome.
And that's what I tell. That's why, like I say, like, you know, it's easier to love than hate. Like, put your energy there.
Yeah.
And like the world just becomes so much brighter.
Yeah, man. Keep spreading this fucking love because the world needs it. You know what I mean? And I think seeing you out there doing the strongman competitions and your, you know, and your bright colors with your mohawk, I think it's awesome. I really do. Yeah. Because you look at all the people there that are in the crowd or watching on TV, and the sport is growing. Absolutely. Right? So now it's not just 3 o'clock in the morning on ESPN2.
No, we're primetime,
you know what I mean? Seriously. No, it's fucking awesome. So as the sport's growing and you're showing people what you should be, you know what I mean? You being you, it'll just help everybody else around the world.
And that's the cool thing too is, you know, like I always, you know, like I think every athlete has some level of superstition whenever they compete, right? And my thing is like I always have to give my husband a kiss before I go out on that stage.
Great.
And the cool thing is cameras have caught that.
Good.
You know,
they should.
They're not editing it out anymore.
They shouldn't.
And, it's really cool to see that. And it's like, I have the support of companies like IMG and ESPN and CBS, like all these major companies that are making it a point, and whether it's, conscious or not, but it's a big deal to see two men kissing on live TV and one being the strongest man in the world.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a big deal, to be honest with you.
You're right.
It really, I mean, I don't think it should be a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But great.
That's it.
Two guys are in love. You know what I mean? And that one lifts heavy stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
my husband's pretty fucking strong too.
Is he really?
He has like a 500-pound deadlift.
No shit. Because I saw a picture. He doesn't look like a big guy, right?
Yeah, he's like my height. He's about like 180, 185.
Oh, that's not that big.
Yeah.
To be pulling 500 pounds.
Yeah, he has like a 500-pound deadlift. He squatted 485.
Wow.
He's pressed almost 300 pounds overhead.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So he's still in CrossFit, you said?
Pretty much, predominantly, yeah.
What's up for you guys? You guys gonna have kids? You gonna what's the plan?
That's the plan. Yeah. So we've had a crazy year, right? So about a year, it was November of last year, we decided to actually move to Seattle.
Oh, no shit.
So my husband just finished graduate school, and got a great job out there, we thought. So we, Western Mass residents through and through, but we're like, you know what, let's take a chance. We've always talked about, obviously we've traveled all over the world.
Yeah.
We're like, let's experience living life somewhere else.
Yeah.
So we went out there and all was pretty good. On the topic, he actually experienced some homophobia at work, and he quit. He quit because of it. And at that same time, within a couple of weeks of that happening, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer.
Right. Oh, we didn't even talk about that.
So all that happened pretty much right away. And when those two things happened so close together, we're like, I think we might need to go home.
We should just be home.
It's hard to deal with one of those things, let alone both of those things happening.
Yeah.
When you're literally across the country from family and friends.
Right, no family.
So
didn't Washington get real fucked up too, though?
We were just outside Seattle, but what we realized is obviously Seattle's super, super liberal.
Right.
And about 30 minutes outside of the city draw radius, it's like that.
Yeah.
The rest of the town,
or
the rest of the city is like Confederate flags and banjos.
Get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Wild.
I just knew it was crazy because they went, went all
but that's just
lawless
Seattle
and wild.
Yeah, that's just Seattle itself.
Yeah.
That's not the entire state. So we didn't realize that until we moved out there either.
Yeah.
And that's why some of the homophobia stuff that he dealt with happened is because of
that stays out in those rural areas. Keep them on those rural
exactly.
areas. There's less people.
So he dealt with that, and we came home, and so looking forward, we're living just outside Springfield, Mass.
Yep.
And, we're excited to kind of settle down. Again, talking about what he does for work, being in the real estate world, looking at buying a house relatively soon and settling down, starting a family for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. You're going to stay at the school? So you're a trainer at the school, right?
Yeah, so I'm an athletic trainer, so work in sports medicine. That's the plan I love it.
Aren't you fucking busy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good, though.
Yeah, I know, but
it's fun.
So are you in school all day or just in the afternoons?
So pretty much
athletics and things, right?
Pretty much going about noon.
Okay.
And then stay through when sports are done. So some days I could be done at 4 or 5.
Yep.
Some days I'm not done till 10 p.m.
Sure, if there's night games
and stuff like that.
Yep.
And then obviously travel with football for away games in the fall.
Yep.
But
it's gonna kind of be cool for those kids to have you as the athletic trainer.
It's fun.
Yeah, they must love it.
So awesome.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love about what I do for work, right? I tell people I have the best job in the world. I get paid to watch sports.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I went to the Rogan Invitational back in October, so I was obviously gone from work for about a week.
Yeah.
I came back. They had decorated my office. They had made signs for me. I found out that the first day of the competition, a lot of the kids ended up skipping their last period and went to one classroom and they put the competition up on the projector so kids could watch. It's just so cool to be in an environment that they support me as an athlete.
Yeah.
So supportive of me as a human,
right.
And then also to be able to give back to kids like that.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And you're in an environment where you can kind of spread the love a little bit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you can teach all these high school kids that you can just be you.
Yeah.
Where else, we're a better place for you to be to spread the message of love and acceptance.
I think honestly the coolest thing is I didn't have to do that.
Right.
It's already like that.
But just by being you, I'm saying,
yeah.
You know what I mean? In that environment where people know, you know what I mean?
We have a couple of trans students and all of the kids in the school use the right pronouns.
Yep.
It's not even they don't even question it. one of my students, is female to male trans man. And all of the guys are like, yo, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even they don't stutter, nothing. And I'm just like, fuck, that is awesome.
Well, you're seeing it more and more. I didn't realize necessarily with the high school kids where they're a little bit older, but the younger kids.
Yeah.
So I'm even seeing that in the elementary school where my kids go.
That's awesome.
Obviously they're little, so nobody really knows exactly what they are or not,
Yeah.
But there's, a handful of people like that, and they refer, boy, girl, just the way they want to be, because the little kids just see them for who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's the way it should be. And hopefully like the people that don't are going to be like aging out. You know what I mean? And the younger generations coming up will just learn to love people and do the right thing.
Absolutely. No, it's been awesome. I love it.
Are you fucking blown away by the fact that you're talking about Joe Rogan like he's just some regular guy? And you told me before how Arnold Schwarzenegger crashed your wedding and shit.
Yeah, it's
gotta be wild, right?
surreal. Like I never thought that I would have this platform or be this person. And the fact that I could just like pick up my phone and shoot Rogan a text or shoot Arnold a text, and it's
Anna, grab his phone real quick.
I love it. It's so cool, just to be able to like have supportive people like that, obviously of, guys like Arnold, who anybody that has ever even considered joining a gym is an idol, right? Like
absolutely.
And the fact that like I've been able to go to his house and been at his office and, just share this crazy, crazy experiences. The funny thing is, I talked to you about our wedding a little bit before we started. So Joey and I got married in Australia right after I'd won one of Arnold's contests down there, and he ended up spoiling us, right? So he chartered a yacht for us that night, took us out to dinner, and I'll never forget, we're leaving dinner, walking back to the hotel in Melbourne, Australia, and Joey looks at me and goes, probably going to go, it probably doesn't get any better than this, right? I was like, no, this is the peak. It is straight downhill from this moment on. That's it. We reached the peak on our wedding day. It's shit from here. So, it is absolutely insane. And like the cool thing is like these people that I know, it's not just like, I don't know, I guess the best way to describe it, it's like we don't just know them.
Right.
Right? Like Joe, like I kind of talk to him, not like a regular basis, but like we interact with each other.
Yeah, you have a relationship.
Same with Arnold. Like he knows my name. It's not just the strongman with the mohawk. So it is wild.
Yeah, you should be proud of yourself. You know what I mean? Just because you've set goals and fucking crushed them, and you're genuinely you. Yeah. Which is I think that's the bigger thing here, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people can lift heavy things. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not hold world records and shit. So like that's fucking dynamite too. But I mean the way you express yourself and the way that you're genuinely you for, hopefully many, many millions of, people to be watching and admire and look up to and realize that that's the way to be. You know what I mean? That's something pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. I love it.
So what's the next competition for you?
So heading down to Brazil in February to do a little contest down there. And then the big one I'm getting ready for is the Arnold Strongman Classic in March.
Where's that?
Columbus, Ohio.
That's right, because it's always there. It's
always there.
Yep.
So the thing is, in Strongman, we have obviously World's Strongest Man and the Arnold. Those are the two big prestigious ones. The Arnold is really like when you get into Strongman world, the Arnold is like the cream of the crop.
Yep.
It's 10 athletes only. The best of the best going to show, and it's the heaviest contest that we see every year as well. So,
is that just strongman, or they're at the Arnold Classic? No. There's also bodybuilding. And all of it,
it is actually the largest sport and fitness expo in the world.
Right. Yeah.
They have more athletes competing throughout the weekend than the Olympics, and I think it's like over 800,000 spectators throughout the weekend.
Wow.
Go through the expo.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah. What are the dates?
Competition is, I believe it's March 4th and 5th, that Friday, Saturday. So it's the first weekend of March. Fortunately.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
It's cheer you on.
If you like strongman or fitness in general.
I love all of it. Yeah.
It is an experience.
Yeah.
And so strongman, they're building a strongman arena in the convention center this year. And really highlighting us, because what they've actually learned over the past few years, strongman is now a bigger draw at the Arnold than bodybuilding is.
I bet.
Which is crazy to think, because Arnold's obviously bodybuilder, and that's where he made his mark.
Yeah.
But now strongman has a bigger following than the bodybuilding world at that event. So it's pretty cool to see like we're getting an actual arena built in the convention center for our competition.
That's so cool. That's another thing, talking about bodybuilding, though. It's another aspect of fitness that, it has to be respected, just like CrossFit, strongman, bodybuilding.
Exactly.
It's like, so I go to this gym over here, just kind of funny, right? Because you can probably relate because of how much mass you've had to put on. My trainer, right? The kid's probably, I think he's like 215, 220 pounds. All jacked
Solid.
up, zero fat, right?
Yeah.
His goal, because right, he wants to be a professional bodybuilder, is to get to 310 pounds of fucking muscle.
Jesus. How tall is he?
Maybe your height, 5'10", 5'11".
And that's kind of tall for a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he goes, it'll probably take me 8 to 10 years to get there.
Yeah.
But like, you think about that, I'm like,
that's Big Ramy.
like, dude, that's crazy.
Like there's a bodybuilder, Big Ramy, that just won the Olympia, right? Like he's about, I think he's like 5'9".
Yeah, that's who he was showing me pictures.
Yeah, he steps on stage at just around 300
It's
pounds.
amazing what all of you guys do. You
It's
know what
crazy.
I mean? Because what blows my mind about that, and it's no matter whether it's CrossFit, strongman, bodybuilding, is the dedication, the commitment, all of it. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Nonstop.
Even
my rest days
your nutrition, your
exactly.
sleep, all of it. You know?
I mean, like my sleep schedule, it's disgusting. Like it's literally like in bed by 9:30 or 10 o'clock at the latest, up at 5:30 every day, Sunday through Sunday. Like weekends, it's the same. It doesn't matter, right? Like it's just always on that schedule.
Yeah.
Eating breakfast at certain time, all my meals at certain times, depending on when I'm training in the day. Everything is calculated and ready to go.
With your size, though, and what you're doing, do you really have to be super dialed in on what you eat as much as...
No.
Oh, no.
No,
You're just fucking eating everything, right?
Yeah, so like
As long as it's not shitty for you.
Yeah, my daily calorie intake's like 6,000 to 7,000, so it's pretty high, but not like, Brian Shaw, those guys that are eating close to 10.
Crazy.
I like to eat relatively clean, like I'm Irish, man, meat and potatoes all day.
Right.
And, but luckily, like because of what we do, like, and getting the calories in, like on my 8-hour training sessions, I dirty it up that day, right? So it's like burgers, fries, milkshakes, getting those calories back in.
Right. What, after the, just fucking
replenish, refuel, just so we're ready for the next week. Because again, bodybuilding, unbelievable discipline.
Right, have to be.
It's an aesthetic sport, though, right? So you have to look a certain way. We have to perform.
Right.
So it's not just about like looking
Nobody's
strong
watching them lift or do anything. It's just what
they
you
have
look
to
like
look
after.
like. For us, it's like we get on that floor, we have to throw some shit around. So we have to be able to perform. And that's why, like during a contest, like my go-to nutrition is like Uncrustables, Sour Patch Kids, and Rice Krispie treats. Like, that's what I eat when I compete because it's all like sugar, a little bit of protein, like just get that energy in to go.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Well, hey, keep eating. Keep loving, keep doing all the right things.
Thanks so much.
I can't wait to watch you guys at the Arnold Classic. I'm serious. I might see if I can get down there.
That'd be great.
I love going and checking out cool shit. So maybe that's what we'll do.
Good stuff.
Rob, this is a fucking pleasure, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
Keep
Thank
doing
you.
it. All right. Thank you, guys.
The mic drop.
Subscribe to success.